So, Voice of an Angel. What song have you been writing or singing
Voice
lately?
of an Angel.
Dude, last Fan Expo, you played that song on your phone.
Right, that's
I think City in
right.
Color cover or something.
I wish I could do better.
That's very good.
Thank you
So
so
I'm waiting to hear what are you writing songs?
I'm
Are
writing.
you-
I've got 2 songs I'm writing.
Okay, I didn't expect a real answer.
actually
Okay,
do.
good.
Yeah, I do. One is an allegory about. No, I'm not going to get totally wacky on you.
Okay.
I am writing a couple of songs, but I'm actually writing a screenplay right now in my off time. I'm training. As studying with. I'm taking a really cool class with a bunch of amazing actors in Los Angeles.
I love hearing when actors still say they take classes.
Oh my God!
Because you can never stop learning.
Never stop.
What's
learning.
this class on?
This is like, it's all about kind of taking all the ugly bits of yourself and laying them out there and being honest about them, and less acting, more cathartic. But it's all kind of in the vein of Strasberg's method and Stanislavski. The teacher, I won't say her name just out of respect, but she studied like kind of the method, and which is where
You're from method
my
as well,
background
yeah.
is method. So it's an easy. I don't have to work to understand sense memory. It was already there, and then I could join the class pretty easily. But she's incredible. It's all about impulses too, and how the ego, which is if you know Freud at all, ego is the thing in life that tells us, don't do that. That's not socially appropriate. This isn't socially appropriate. You have to stop doing this. Like don't, pick your nose in public. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Terrible example, but something that the ego would say not to do. But the id is the one with the impulses and those primal desires that say like, I want this, I need this, I want that. So it's basically offering you a really safe environment to explore the id by removing the ego and finding out what really makes you tick. Because whatever is most primal is really, those are your bare bones. That's your modus operandi.
That's interesting. I'd ask you what it is, but I don't want you to spill like your deepest, darkest secrets. But the yeah, power. I just want more power.
Did you watch House of Cards?
I have Kevin Spacey on the show next week.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
No, I didn't hear that.
No.
Like I didn't.
I know.
I'm
I'm going to sit there and just be like, Francis Underwood, you're scaring me right now. I'm so scared.
Can I come?
You may. It's in LA. We'll talk about this afterwards. What about House of Cards, though?
There's that line that they talk about, which is so brilliant, when they say, everything in life is about sex except sex, which is about power. And it's so true.
I don't know where to go from that. But you said something about felines, maybe? No, you said something about animalistic characteristics.
Animal exercises?
Sure.
Yeah,
Well, you didn't mention that, but that's what I was going to go to.
A primal animal.
Primal. Yeah, I knew there was some sort of tie-in. I had
characteristics,
a segue before the House of Cards thing. I'm curious as to this. So this is you actually like walking around your house like a cat trying to find Felix.
Yeah. Yeah, in a
Where
sense.
did that idea come from of the cat over every other animal?
I was reading the character and I just found that there were a lot of, sometimes embodying an animal can help you to find a character's physicality. You can be really inspired by the way an animal moves as to how a person would move. Anthony Hopkins was really inspired by the snake for Hannibal Lecter, so he moved like a serpent. You don't actually move around the soundstage in character as a serpent, but that sort of rigid back, the stillness, the sort of calmness and just being and sort of being still. Felix he reminded me so much of a feline. I thought, well, fine, let me do an animal exercise. Let me explore what a feline feels like. And I noticed that my shoulders would go back and the head goes up and suddenly you're sort of looking down on the world. There's almost this weird territorial alpha attitude that comes with embodying a feline that I thought was so great for him because he's worked so hard, being different, being an outsider. He's been very oppressed. And I think that people who experience oppression are usually, there's a reason why communities that are marginalized will go so far the other way to make themselves heard and known. It's because that's what oppression does to people. It makes them want to break out. So he just never stopped breaking out.
Will he get jealous of all these clones because maybe he'll be pushed aside?
I think that was something that I toyed with in the first season. And then as the second season progresses, I think there's actually more. It's more about Felix resenting being an accessory to Clone Club. That he's lost a piece of himself in Sarah's lunacy and in the mystery and in who am I, who are you, what does all this mean? He's losing himself, and I think that's more what he resents. I think his and Sarah's relationship is strained for other reasons, which will come to a head later in the season, but I can't tell you what they are.
No, and I understand that. But we will talk about this past weekend's episode.
Yeah.
Where you guys go off.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Going on a road trip.
Okay, that's what you're going to give me on that? All right, fair enough. Well, I have to ask.
We're in a car, we're going to be driving on the road. No, we're going on a road trip. I think we're just on the run. We wanted to expand the world a little bit too. We had a little more money this season, and I think we wanted, because we had to bottle a lot of stuff last season. Just budgetarily,
Sure.
it made sense, and because the world was smaller and we were focusing more on laying the pipe, we want to grow we expanded the world. We grew the cast, the show's concept grew, and what we were able to do got bigger, and I think it was just natural that we'd hit the road and we'd leave the soundstage behind for a few weeks.
That's cool. It'll be fun to see. It'll be
Yeah,
different.
it's going to be, and working in that environment was so amazing. It's so different than working in a set where you know that your environment is fabricated, it's all a falsity. When you go out there and you're out in the country especially, I feel like the city's like, just you feel very claustrophobic when you're out in the middle of nowhere. It's this incredible feeling. You just feel so free to kind of do whatever and explore, and you don't feel in any way sequestered.
Yeah, chained by the.
You're not shackled
Yeah.
to a mark or to anything.
The other scene I remember, I'm just to switch topics because we don't have much time, but the other scene I remember is you with Allison's on the computer, I think, on Skype or something, but you've got two of Tatiana's around you.
Yes.
And a third one on the computer, which is probably dubbed in later, but the techno dolly and working in that scene,
It was
talk
weird.
about that. Yeah, I can imagine.
I've done a lot more clone work this season, which has been great for me, but and I always butcher this explanation, but it's,
Everyone always does, it's okay.
everybody,
Yeah.
because it's
so
so
hard.
complicated. Basically, we break the frame being the screen, into thirds, and each Tatiana occupies 1/3. Now, if I start a scene with Sarah, we shoot it as Sarah, and we're talking to, it's pretty basic, we do a pass to establish the camera pattern, then we do a pass with the doubles to get the blocking down, the physical movements. Then we remove the doubles and we do a pass, the usable pass with the tennis balls on the T-stands, or the X on the wall. But things get more complicated if Felix likes, and sometimes he does this, he'll decide to move from Sarah to Allison or Sarah to Cosima in a scene. And if that happens, then after we shoot the Sarah coverage and she changes over to Allison, I join her at that part in the scene where I'm supposed to enter. And then the rest of the scene, I'm reacting to Sarah, I'm reacting to the stuff we already shot. So I have to go and watch playback and see, where Sarah kind of motioned to Felix, where he might go like that, or he might react to something she says. And I have to remember at what point that happens so that I know what to do with my body and sell her presence, sell the fact that she's there, even though she's not.
Does any training get you ready for something like that?
No.
Except like doing it?
Tat says improv helped her. I didn't do long form improv the way that she did. I think it's just like surrendering yourself to the fact that it's insane, and like we just all tell ourselves, Tat said this at the SAG conversation, she's so right, we just tell ourselves we can't do it because it's just too crazy. We just tell ourselves that we can't talk to another person that's not there. We can, anyone can, like we all have imaginations, we just pretend we can't do it because it's just too insane.
I'm going to take it full circle with the imagination thing. The script that you're writing, you probably don't want to give too much away. I get how the business works and everything, but just like it's a horror or comedy. Like what do you dig writing?
It's a horror.
Okay.
It's a horror.
First one. All right, cool.
It is a horror. It's a sci-fi horror entry to a character drama.
Okay.
And I'm doing it just because I was really inspired, and I've been inspired
always
by
written?
a number of. Yeah, I've been writing for a long time.
Okay.
Like I journaled a little bit, but I mostly wrote short stories. Even in writer's craft in high school, I was always doing weird short stories, and that never made any sense. I love doing like those 2-sentence stories too, the horror ones that really get under people's skin. Like every night for the last 3 weeks, I've been waking up to this knocking, and it just won't stop. And it's too bad that it's coming from the other side of my mirror. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's something
that was
that
good.
sort of like twists, and
Yeah.
I love David Lynch. I just saw Lost Highway for the first time, and I was really inspired
Yeah.
by Lost Highway because it's so weird. And he just, back in the 90s when they just give $50 million to anyone to go shoot a movie because a bunch of executives wanted to hang out with movie stars.
It's not like that anymore?
It's
You don't
not.
get those 50 million paydays
Do
for
you
your
not
script?
see that? It's
No.
like the $5 million feature or it's the $150 million feature.
Yeah.
The only company that's really doing like $50 million features is MRC.
Searchlight doesn't do it anymore? Not really?
Not
You would know
really.
better than I would.
Not
and this
really.
conversation went way too inside.
I know this is like what everyone's going to be like. What is happening
What-
right now? Even Searchlight, I haven't seen anything of recent. There's probably the odd one that's 10 or 20, but really for the most part,
That's
it's
interesting.
5 or 150.
I could keep going with that, but I won't because we should. But I am curious about this. 5 quick
We'll do
questions.
lunch.
We will. 5 quick questions, 1-word answers. At Kevin Spacey.
Brilliant.
All right. Script or improv?
Script.
Stage or screen?
Screen.
Lennon or McCartney?
McCartney.
Hitchcock or Kubrick?
Hitchcock.
In one word, Orphan Black.
Trippy.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. That is interesting, though.
So weird, right? MR